Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And I am so excited. We love technology because once again, we have a guest from Australia, and I absolutely love that. I think I just need to have like a little satellite office down there because we always have so many guests from down there, but it's because they have such great business professionals, right? So please join me in welcoming Stacey Morgan to our program today. Welcome, Stacey. How are you?
Hi, Deb. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really well. It's nice and hot here. It's, coming up to Christmas, looking forward to going to the beach, eating some fresh seafood and, really enjoying this festive season.
I love it. Well, of course, it's festive here, but it's 43 and raining.
That's very different.
Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will dive into this. So no fluff and direct is the approach that Stacey Morgan uses when she is business coaching. She has dedicated herself to encouraging women and busy moms to find their own version of success. She provides real world insight and the tools to create their blueprint for success, all while hosting two podcasts, Miss Bossy Boots, we're going to have to talk about that, and How to Run a Successful Business and Still Have a Life. Stacey is a passionate entrepreneur and small business consultant from Australia. She is the principal of Port Macquarie Performing Arts, a dance studio on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. She is also the director of Morgan Media, a global podcast production company that focuses on podcasts related to small business, the arts, and raising a family. Stacey is a sought-after speaker, facilitator, and business consultant, offering online business consulting to small businesses around the world. A finalist in the Telstra Business Women's Awards in 2020, Stacey is using her knowledge from her successful six-figure businesses to coach and consult with women business owners juggling their own business while raising a family. So again, Stacey, welcome.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a lot, doesn't it? It sounds like I'm busy.
It sounds like you never sleep. And, as we record this, because of the time difference, it's like early morning hours for you. So bless you for doing this.
No, I'm so thrilled to be here. What I do is quite isolated, like so many small business owners, and you would feel this as well.
Right.
Sometimes we just feel like it's just us doing the hard, doing the hustle, doing the hard work. And it's really lovely to spend time talking about business and all things business with somebody who's as equally as passionate as I am, or perhaps more. And so I will get up at whatever time you want me to in the morning to have a chat. I'm really, really thrilled to be here.
I love it. I love it. Well, we mentioned a little bit about what you do in your bio, but I think, it's always so much fun to hear about how my guests got to where they are today. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So my main business is a dance studio, and I actually own two dance studios now, which has happened since I actually wrote and sent you my bio. It's always changing over here. Right. So I now own two dance studios, and that is perfect for me because it combines my love of business and that hustle and that, innovating new things and having new ideas and doing strategic thinking with my love of dance, which is, what really was my love and my passion when I was growing up. For anyone who danced when they were younger, they know that bug that gets inside of you about the passion for the music and the movement and moving your body in that way and be taken away by the music, that stays with you. And I'm really lucky that I'm able to combine that passion that I have for music and movement with my passion for business and being able to put the two and two together, and now in two different locations as well with the two different businesses. I'm incredibly blessed to be able to say I do what I love every single day. But I think that came from the passion that my dance teacher instilled in me when I was at the dance studio. So dance taught me so much more than just pirouettes and how to do a lovely arabesque and how to stretch my feet and look pretty. It taught me how to, dust myself off and get back up and have another go. It taught me how to work as a team. It taught me how to build relationships and nurture relationships. And they're all things that I now bring into my business. So dance was really a beautiful stepping stone that got me from, my childhood through to the life that I've been able to build now. And now it's my passion to be able to help other women, especially mothers, because I'm a mum of 3 young kids, to give them the tools and give them the just the confidence to be able to step into their businesses and to step into the lifestyle that this entrepreneurial journey promises us, that we are going to have all this freedom and all this time and all these things that we sign up for. I find that so many women sign up for it but don't currently live it because they just get themselves so busy and so overwhelmed. So now it's my passion to be able to pass that on to others.
Right. I love that. And you mentioned working with moms, and I'm not a mom. I have dogs and cats, but I'm not a pet parent. I mean, these people that they're my fur babies. No, it is so very different, obviously, to have children. I tell people I can put the dog in a crate. You really can't do that.
No, they say you shouldn't.
Yeah. But I think it is obviously such a challenge for women to try and do it all. And years ago, probably before you were even born, there was this commercial here in the States where there was this woman, and this was, I think, in the early 70s, where she was taking home the bacon and she was frying it up in the pan and she was doing all of those things. And, and I think, women really did, and obviously can, because we're really smart. We can do it all, but what are the special challenges that happen when you are the mom trying to also be an entrepreneur?
I think you said it right. We can have it all, but I think the trick to that is that you can't have it all at the same time. And that's something that I wish that I knew when I had my first child. I had a very new business. I think we were 3 or 4 years old. I was still doing everything in the business. That was the expectation that I'd put on myself, that I would be the person that would do the payroll, teach the classes, do the nurturing of the relationships, clean the toilets, everything. Everything on the list was my responsibility. Right. And I had this understanding that when I had a baby, nothing would change. And I have to laugh because it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous now to think about, because everything changed. And I did a pretty good job for the first 9 months. My daughter was born in March, and I got through to the end of the year without having a complete breakdown. And so I was, doing my best. And at that age, you can put them, you can feed them and put them in a carrier and take them. She used to sit and watch me teach class and come with me to meetings, and everything was kind of okay. But at that 9-month mark, we came to the end of the year. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was doing so many things. Right. She was getting to the age where she wanted to move.
Right. And say,
I could no longer put her in one spot, and she would stay there. And with that just came this realization for me that actually this idea that I had originally, that I was going to be able to do everything and nothing was going to change, was not going to work for me. And my husband and I went away for the weekend. I said, I just need to get out of town. So we went an hour up the road and got a little cabin in the woods, and we were just away from all of the obligations and the responsibilities that I had. We took Lucinda with us, of course, and we went for a walk. And on this walk, I just lost it. And I just said, I cannot do this anymore. And I don't think he really understood how much I was struggling, but I remember I can feel that moment still as I'm talking about it, because I just was not okay. And so he said, all right, what are we going to do? What's the new plan? How are we going to move things around? And so to get back to what we said originally about we can have it all, but we just can't have it all at the same time, in that moment, I knew I needed to step back from my business and delegate in my business in order to be able to be with my child, which is where I wanted to be. And now that she's 9 and, a lot more self-sufficient. There are moments where she can come with me to the studio and she can, be trusted to be with me in the studio and there not be a complete disaster. But I also have the business now, 9 years later, in a position where I can step away for long periods of time and to spend time with the kids if I need to. And so when I'm with her, I can have it all. I can be with her and we can, play together and draw together. And she loves doing art. And so I'm, trying to really foster that love for her. And then when I'm in the studio, I can really be in the studio and I can really be with my team and I can really be the leader that I want to be in the studio. And it happens on the same day. I'm with her in the morning and at the studio in the afternoon, but it just doesn't happen at the same time. And I think for so many women and so many mums, it is that wearing the two different hats, wearing the business owner hat, wearing the mum hat. And, for so many of us, we wear 5 or 6 hats. It's not just the two. But I think in those moments where we have to wear both hats at the same time, that is where the mum guilt comes from, really rises up. That is when the overwhelm really rises up. That is when things become really hard. And I think we're taught that you should be able to wear all the hats and do all the things at the same time. But I think what I've learned is that, yes, we can have it all, but not all at the same time. Life works a whole lot smoother if you've just got one hat on at a time and you can focus on just that one thing that you've got in front of you. So that's what I've learned.
I love it. And I always laugh when people talk about the work-life balance. Because to me, balance, if you've got work and you've got life, the only way it balances is 50-50, right? If there, otherwise you've got this teeter-totter thing going on. And, and it's not 50-50. There's never really a balance. And I think when people come to grips with that, that's when they're like, oh, okay, well, I got to do 80% family right now. So that means there's just 20% of me for business. So how is this going to function? And I love that you mentioned that you delegated, because having the ability to do that is just, that's going to be what lets you continue to have a business.
Absolutely. And it wasn't something that I was good at in the beginning. Please know that I didn't just go on this walk, have this little meltdown and then say, ta-da, I'm just going to say, you're going to do this and you're going to do this. And I'm now free to do whatever I like. That's not how it works at all. And so I hate that word balance. It drives me up the wall. I prefer the word blend because I find that in my life, these things blend into each other. And sometimes there's crossover, but there's never that equal everything's equal on both sides that balance implies. And so for me, it's about, in those early days, it was about, okay, where do I want to spend my time? Where is it most beneficial for the business that I spend my time? I'm really good at I really enjoy social media, but somebody else could do that whilst I'm teaching in the classroom, because I am a better teacher than I am a social media manager. I might enjoy making a post on Canva and putting it up on Instagram, but really where my time is better used is in the studio. So I had to really think about each of the different roles in my business and think about how I could use the things that I am good at and the things that I enjoy to add to my list, and then delegate the things that I didn't enjoy. I went for a very long time without having a bookkeeper. What was I thinking? I'm a dancer. I just count 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't what was I doing?
I know. I tell people 1 and 1 do not make 2 for me. And
I was the same. And I thought, no, I will save myself some money and do all of this myself. Well, crazy. No. So, outsourcing those big things that are really not my zones of genius was a really good way to start. And so getting clear on what I would be hired for. If this wasn't my business, what would I be hired for? Definitely not the bookkeeping. What job would I go for? Definitely not the cleaning of the toilets. So I had to think about, just because it was my business didn't mean that I had to do everything. And so what did I want to do? What was I good at doing? And what would my business benefit from me doing? And so that's where I started, just giving off just little things. And I found that just gave me a little bit more breathing space, gave Lucinda a little bit more breathing space, gave us some more time together. And then that was okay. And then I had my son, Patrick. And here we go again. All of a sudden, I've got 2 children under 3 and all the overwhelm that comes with that. So that was another stage where I had to let go of a different list of things. I had to then think, okay, now I've given off these 5 things and I'm still doing these 50 things. What's 20 more things that I can delegate? And by that stage, I had a really incredible team. And so the thought of delegating really scared me because I thought, what will they think? Will they think I'm just lazy?
Right. Will they think I'm not good enough?
I'm not good enough and I don't know what I'm doing, or will they trust me to be their leader if I'm not there all the time and doing all of the things?
Can I trust them?
Yeah. And then exactly on the flip side, will they do it to the standard that I want? Am I going to be able to have the time to manage them appropriately and to set expectations and to write the checklists and to do the systems and procedures and all those things? So that was a whole new level, having Patrick and being able to delegate things. But this incredible team of mine, I was scared to delegate because I thought, I don't want to have to put a job description together and advertise and interview people. And it just all felt like too much for me. But once I was able to communicate this fear to my team and to be vulnerable and to say, look, I'm not okay. I'm struggling. I need help with this and this and this. So many of my team members stepped up and said, oh, I'm here early on a Thursday. I could do the cleaning that day. Or, oh, I'm here on a Monday. Would you like me to schedule the social media posts for the week? And I was able to add different tasks to their already established roles, pay them extra for their time and for their expertise in those areas. And it just gave me just that little bit more breathing space. Right. But as I said, it was baby steps. It was a few things when Lucinda was born. It was a few more when Patrick was born. When I got pregnant with Henry, which was a big surprise. I was
number 3 is on the way.
Oh my goodness. I just thought, no. I'm not going to be okay. I cannot continue like this. And so what I actually did was I got with one of my business besties, my co-host for my podcast, Miss Bossy Boots, Jane. She came over to my business. We put big Post-it notes on the walls, like really big sheets of butcher's paper, and we wrote down every single job that needed to be done in the business. Everything. We put it all on the wall, from the, buying the stock to teaching the classes to doing the enrollment to, nurturing the customers, everything. And then we got colored markers and we circled each of the different roles that kind of grouped together. So all the kind of marketing things were all yellow, all the teaching things were blue. And then we went and wrote position descriptions for each of the roles that were up on the wall. So in just one afternoon, and it did take a couple of hours, but in just that afternoon, I suddenly had lists of all of the tasks that needed doing, so that I had, if I wanted to, the ability to step completely out of the business and just delegate all of those things to my team. And so when I had Henry, by the time Henry came and he was here in the world, I was able to just say, this is all yours. You've all got the tools you need. You've all got the systems and processes. I'm going to manage you by coming in on a Monday and we're going to have these meetings and this is how it's going to work. And boy, was that just the biggest game changer. But the reason I've told you every step along the way is because I think some people get scared about the thought of delegating things in their business because they think, I don't even know where to start. And I guess my point is, you don't have to start with everything. You can just start with one thing and see how you go. And, take baby steps from there, that baby steps that you're comfortable with and baby steps that really feel good to you. You don't want to get rid of the things that light you up about your business. You don't want to be in a position where your business is suddenly, you're going, oh, I'm not needed here. And you lose that passion. I'm lucky that I've been able to continue to be passionate. And I think the reason I've been able to continue to be passionate about my business, and we're going into our 14th season next year, is because the jobs that were really dragging me down and taking up a lot of my time and energy, I've delegated to people who love that. There are people who will just love.
I know there are people who love bookkeeping. I don't understand them, but
I don't either. But they love it and they're doing it, and so they're equally as passionate about my business. I get to keep my passion about my business. And I think that's been a really big key to our longevity. So if there's listeners out there who are thinking in the new year, I don't want to do this job in my role anymore, start thinking now about is there someone already on your team that you could allocate that to? Is there someone you could outsource to? Because again, you don't have to go and hire someone. There are lots of great contractors. There are lots of people on the internet. Like there are people around who can do tasks in your business, and you just have to look for them, and you have to put it out there that that's what you need.
Yeah. You know, and I love that you took the time to actually go, here is every single task. Because I think aside from anything else, most time business owners don't even realize everything that they do. So then they can't even begin to think about, okay, what could I delegate? And it's funny. I do what I call the 15-minute rule. If it's not that passion, if it's going to take me more than 15 minutes, it gets outsourced. You know, and that's that. Yeah, you know, that is why I have my producer. She is a virtual assistant. We've been together. Oh my gosh, I think we're getting ready to start 5 years. Maybe it's 4, but definitely at least 4. And you know, I could certainly do what she does, and I did do what she does. But when I sat down and thought, okay, do I want to be doing several hours of that every week? No, you know, and you know, and she loves doing it, but it was funny because I tried a couple of times to outsource, but I was vague. I need you to maybe do this, kind of, you know, and then of course it didn't work. Nobody's expectations were met. Everybody got, you know, a little bent out of shape and all of those things. So when I actually made a job description and treated it like it was a job, you know, I expect you to do this, this, and this. And then when I realized she's going to do it different, but that's okay. You know, it doesn't have to be done the exact way. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things for many people to realize is different is not wrong. And of course, you know, she really rocks it at doing that. And there are several other things. You know, we've started a new initiative with something that I've been dealing with in my personal life. And you know, long story short, I have cancer. And so we're turning this into how can we help others? That's real long story short, because it's been like a 5-year thing. And so, you know, it was, you know, create a brand, create a website, do all of those things. I can do that. Yeah. But 10 years from now, I'd still be going, yeah, I should probably, you know. And so I got a great team. I paid them, and I paid them quite a bit of money. And said, you go do. And it was so funny because they would come back with something totally unexpected. And some of it was exactly not what I had wanted. And every time I went, wow, that's even better. You know, but having them do it, it created a totally different level of accountability. And I love that because, you know, they were expecting me to meet the deadlines and to give them what they needed so they could do their job. And I had spent money on it, so I wasn't going to waste all of that. And it really was something that I think was such a wonderful learning experience to be able to do that. And you know, but like I said, the first big thing was letting go of that control.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry you're going through all of that, but what an incredible way to be able to channel all of that energy into something really positive. And you're exactly right.
I do have lots of energies.
Yeah, I can tell. And the whole thing about holding yourself accountable, I think, is a really important piece of delegation as well that we don't think about. We just think, how are they going to do the job? But really, if we're delegating the role to them, just like you have, we have a responsibility to make sure that they have everything that they need. We have a responsibility to set that expectation. This is what it needs to look like. This is when I need it done by. This is acceptable. This isn't acceptable. I didn't do that in the early days. I did exactly what you said. I was like very
the
vague.
wishy-washy, maybe kind of, sort of. And I really expected people to read my mind. It was just amazing,
I still do.
Right?
You talk to anyone on my team and they would still say that's my biggest, you know, their biggest challenge in working with me is that I expect them to be mind readers. That's, because that's tough. And we're learning as well. Like it's just because we've done it in the past doesn't mean we know every single step. So much of that is, you know, we just fly by the seat of our pants. We're making it up as we go along. So being able to put it down on paper, being able to create that system and process to be able to go to the other people is the people you're delegating it to is so important. And then the follow-up. I love to say the fortune is in the follow-up, because the follow-up, making sure that people understand what the task is, making sure that they are on track to do that task, is how you're going to get your money's worth. Because if you don't follow them up and the deadline comes and goes, then everybody's disappointed and everybody's cranky, and like this whole thing was a waste of time. Like the whole thing becomes a bigger drama than it needs to be. So the fortune is really in the follow-up. Any job that you're delegating, you need to have markers marked in your calendar as to when you're going to touch base and say, how's that going? What's going on with this? Where are you up to? Do you need any support from me? How can I help you? And I didn't do that well in the early days. And I there's sometimes I don't do it well now, but I'm very aware of it. I'm learning as we go, as we all are.
Right. Yeah, because they can't read our minds. If we want something done by next Friday, we have to tell them we want this done by next Friday. And then, and I always say, if that's not doable, let me know, because you never know. I mean, the website developer, love her. I mean, the website that she has created for our project is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it is incredible. But then all of a sudden she dropped off the face of the earth. And I was like, well, of course she had COVID, and then her family got COVID, and her family, they got really pretty sick. Well, the second I knew that, I'm like, okay, nope, you ignore me until this is done. I said, because there's absolutely nothing that takes priority, over dealing with your family. But she had been so sick that she wasn't even able to communicate. I mean, it was just kind of one of those, because, that's the other thing, is it is a two-way street. If somebody's having an issue, needs more time, more resources, more input, information, things like that. Yeah. They have to tell me, because I can't read their mind either. But it really is. And it's funny, because like, if you're an employee in a business, that just kind of is there, and then all of a sudden we're the boss, and that thing goes away. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I find that the 80-20 rule, when it comes to delegating tasks, really kind of makes me sleep well at night, because you said in the beginning, no one, like we struggle to delegate because nobody is going to do it as well as us. At least that's the story we're telling ourselves, right? I can't possibly get someone to do that because I do it the best, and they won't do it like me. But I find that most people, if you give them good instructions and you give them the support they need, will get it 80% of the way. And then you have a choice as a leader. You can either send it out into the world at 80%, which is usually good enough. Right. And you haven't had to do it. So it's a win already. Or if it's at 80% and you really want it at 100, then you can step in and make those little tweaks to get it from 80 to 100 without having to do the whole thing and start the whole thing from scratch. So for business owners who are looking to delegate and are worried about that, it's never going to be the same as what I'm doing. As long as it gets to 80%, I think the world can deal with 80%. And there are lots of things that, there are lots of social media posts. I'll use that as an example, that I'm scrolling Instagram and I see my business and I go, oh, that's not the way I would have done it. Yeah. But it's 80% of the way there, and I didn't have to do it. And
I didn't have to do it.
I didn't have to do any of it. And there it is out in the world. And so that's okay. And it's more than okay, really. I'm getting my money's worth, and I'm getting, a good bang for my buck in terms of my resources, because we don't have infinite resources to be able to throw around in our businesses. We're always thinking about the best way to spend our money, the best way to spend our time, the best way to spend the energy that we have. And so it's important, I think, that we use that wisely.
Right. And it is that challenge of, when do we let go? And it's, I think we don't do it enough. I think there's always, we should be letting go of more. And it doesn't matter if you're the employee or, but like I said, it's also them stepping up. And you mentioned, I mean, what a great team to have, that they stepped up and said, hey, we can help with this. But it took you saying, I need help. And
Yes.
that, I think, is probably one of the hardest things for anybody to do. And I think it's even harder for women to say.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say exactly that. And I think women are not, we're not good at it, and we don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the payback
Mm-hmm.
when we do
Mm-hmm.
can be massive.
Right.
Can just be massive.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that this is not just a business
Mm-hmm.
dilemma. It flows through into all aspects of our life.
Right.
And I am guilty of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I pick my kids up from school every day.
Mm-hmm.
3:00, there I am, school pickup, sitting there with the 5,000 other cars and the 5,000
right, you're
other
in that
mums.
line.
I'm in the line,
Mm-hmm.
and there I am. And I think to myself, I know the kids in my kids' classes. I know the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I just ask? Why
don't we do a carpool thing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we doing that? And it's something that we're coming to the end of our school year now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't start again until after summer, which is
Mm-hmm.
we come back at the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a New Year's resolution for
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm like, next year I am not going to sit in this carpool line,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to require me asking for help. It's going to require me stepping out of my comfort zone, feeling a little bit vulnerable, thinking, what will that mum think of me? I can't even pick up my children from school.
There's probably 4 other
what
mums
kind of
that are
mother
thinking
am
the
I?
same thing, right?
I'm hoping so, because it seems silly, but I need to take a bit of my own medicine and do exactly what I'm saying in asking for help. So it's not just about asking for help when it comes to business things. It's about asking for help in all aspects of our life.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that I invested in was an executive assistant who helps me not only in my business, but in life as well. And one of the greatest things that she does, and it's one of the simplest things she does so much in across all of my businesses. She's making websites, she's producing audio, she's dealing with customers, she's doing everything. But the most valuable thing she does for me on a Monday morning is she gets bread and milk and fruit and veggies for my house and brings them and puts them in my fridge. Like groundbreaking.
Right. and it's funny because it seems silly, but that's like a wowza thing.
Wowza. And has made the biggest difference. And on a Wednesday she replaces the bread and milk, and on Friday she replaces the bread and milk, and I don't have to text my husband. He doesn't have to text me. Are you getting milk? Am I getting milk? Do we need milk?
The milk just magically appears.
It just magically appears. And I cannot tell you the difference it makes in my productivity and my stress level by just having it there. And so I didn't, originally I read that somebody else, a business mentor that I looked up to, was doing that. And I thought, Can't she even just
well,
go and
doesn't
get her
that
own
just
milk?
seem like pretty aristocratic? Well, right?
Absolutely. I'm not that bougie. And then I thought, no, I could just ask. Maybe I could just ask her if that would be
right. Yeah.
a thing.
If she makes a face at you, well, oops.
And she just said, no, that's fine. I'll do it on my way to the office. And it was as simple as that.
Right.
But I had to step out of my comfort zone and I had to ask for help. And when I did, it's been revolutionary. My whole life has changed. So I think in the new year, thinking about things that you would maybe be a bit nervous about asking for help with, stepping out of your comfort zone and asking. You don't know if you don't ask.
Right.
So
and at the very least, they're going to tell you no. And then oops. Yeah.
And you're in the same position that you were in before. So I think it's incredibly valuable to think about those things that you can ask for help for in your business in terms of roles, but also in your world, in your personal world. I'm definitely not doing all the school pickups next year, and my milk and bread will continue to arrive on my kitchen bench on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Right. And we're also empowering others. And I think that's so important because, when they excel, that's so much fun to see that. But they have to be given that opportunity. And maybe it's just, it might make her day to go to the grocery store for you. Or one of your employees, that the fact that maybe they did a social media post that got shared 1,000 times. But you have to give them that opportunity, and that's the other thing is, if we get so controlling, that means we're not sharing with them that ability to excel.
That's right. And as leaders, we should want to empower our people. We should want them to feel good about themselves. And we should also want them to grow. For so many of my dance teachers, and that's primarily who I employ, because they're now doing social media and they're now doing community development, they're now doing business development, they're growing as people, they're learning things, they're Googling, they're doing
They could
courses.
go have their own business because they've built those skills up. Now, hopefully they don't leave you. But,
and hopefully they don't.
yes. But yeah, they are learning skills that they'll be able to use in other things.
They really will. And that makes me feel good as a leader, that I'm not kind of keeping them in a box. You came to me, because you were qualified for this and that's all I've got you doing. And some of them find that really challenging. And so that's really good as well. They're getting the personal development that comes along with trying hard things and doing hard things. And for some of them, they've tried it and hated it. And so they've, moved into something different.
Said,
and that's good too.
Don't like doing potential client meetings.
I don't want to deal with another dance mum. And so that's okay. We just move them sideways to the next thing. And I love that. I love that because it really feeds in. In the beginning, I said, now I'm about empowering other women in business, but I'm also about empowering the students that I have in front of me in my classroom. I'm about empowering my team. So it fits really well with my personal values and my why in being able to step into that role. And I think that is something that I don't think we think about that as much as we should when it comes to delegating and it comes to getting rid of those tasks. Sometimes we just still sit in the, I couldn't possibly do that.
Right.
But
and
you can.
Let's face it, you're also setting a fabulous example for your kids. Your daughter is seeing this is what she could be doing, and your sons are seeing this is what a potential spouse, what my sister, all of those other things could be doing, and how can I help that?
And last night, I have to tell you, I had to teach. I was wearing two hats, which I don't like to do. Like my life is about trying to separate those hats and those moments. But Henry had to be picked up from daycare early and he came to the studio and I still had a class to teach. And it's my favorite class of the week. It's my gorgeous senior ballet students. And it was their last class of the year. And I had kids graduating, but he wanted mummy. And there was no, like that was, he wanted mummy and that was going to be it. So I had to teach this whole ballet class holding a 5-year-old.
He's not 5.
Yeah. He's almost 5, but he feels like a 5-year-old. Like he's grown. He's not a baby. So I have him kind of on my hip and I'm teaching this ballet class. And I said to the 30 girls standing in front of me, I said, I know it's unorthodox when Miss Stacey brings the kids to the studio. I know that's not how it normally is. It doesn't happen all the time. But I hope that when you guys go and have your own families and you're having a day where you have to have your child at work or you're trying to get stuff down around the house and you've got someone holding on to you, I hope that I'm role modeling for you that you can do it and it can be done and it's okay and you can wear those two hats at the same time. And of course they're 17 and 16 and 15 and they're looking at me like rolling their eyes like, whatever.
That's never going to happen to us.
Absolutely not. But I have students now who have little ones. They've, long graduated from my dance studio and they have their own little ones. And nothing makes me, smile and light up inside more than when they say, my little girl does this. Like, remember when Lucinda did that when we were at the studio that day? Like those, because they saw me raising her as part of their studio experience. And now they're taking that into their own mothering role. And that, that is a beautiful legacy to be able to leave for my students. So I hope that I'm not only setting the right example for my biological children, but all of my students as well, especially those women, those young women who are trying to figure out who they are and will go into the world, feeling like they can do anything, they can tackle anything because they've seen us do it in front of them.
Well, and it's also showing them that they need to have grace with your situation. Because how many times have we been somewhere, and somebody's, grocery store, church, office, and,
airplane.
And you see, the crying child or the whatever, and we're like, how awful. Can't they control that child? Right. All of these various things. And instead we should take a breath, if possible, say, can we help? I mean, that's not always going to happen. But just think, they're doing the best they can. So why am I being critical of it?
I was out shopping with my mum on the weekend, and there was a child crying, and my mum scoffed. And I said, Mum, like,
are you
better.
Telling
me that you do know better? Are you telling me I never did that to you? And she said, oh, you did it to me all the time. That's why I'm so triggered by it. Yeah. But I said, no, Mum, you can't. Like that mum is having a worse day than we are, having to listen to that child.
Well, yeah, because it's embarrassing.
She's having a terrible day.
And because you don't want to be the person who has the child who is acting up, because people are being, they're thinking bad thoughts about you and all of those things. And that just kind of all adds to it, because then your stress level goes up. The child picks up on that and all sorts of things. And, when I see things like that, maybe I see, the baby crying, even from a distance, I'll wave at the baby. I'm like, you're trying to get their attention, something, so that, they, maybe it's more just to show acceptance that, it's okay. Babies cry, children get upset, or they could be 16, 17 years old and be throwing a snit fit, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's we have to have that grace ourselves.
Yes.
To know they really are doing the best that they can, and it is not our place to be saying at them.
That's right. And that grace needs to follow through to our leadership as well in our business. There are things we're going to get right. There are things that we're going to get wrong. There are going to be days where we're going to have a tantrum and be stomping around the place, because that's the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. That's what we signed up for. But I think that grace is a really important part of it, that we need to understand that there will be good times and bad times, and that the challenges are normal. I used to think when I first started my business that every time something went wrong, that I was doing something wrong, that this was wrong, that maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should just go and get a job. Like I had
and get a real job.
Go and get a real job. I had that rhetoric kind of playing in my mind. But what I've learned is that the challenges, if you're coming across challenges, if people are coming to you with feedback, and that feedback is challenging, then you're doing something right, because taking on feedback and being able to make changes and improve your business and use all of that is part of the journey. And having grace with yourself during those hard times is a really important lesson that you have to learn along the way. Hard to learn it in the moment though, right?
I know. Oh yeah. I had one of those today. I didn't have a meltdown, but I had a said bad words type of thing. And it was one of those where it was like, okay, this is just not my skill set. And forcing it is making it worse. We were trying to develop a simple little product for the new website. I watched all these online videos. They made this look really easy. And no, it's like I have two left thumbs and I finally, I contacted the person who's developing the shopping cart. And I said, take them off and say coming soon. And he went, okay. And I mean, it wasn't, it didn't matter to him one way or the other, but it was like, this is not working. And all I'm doing is making myself even more frustrated. And maybe it's not going to be my skill set. I mean, it's like,
and that's okay.
Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, so now what do I do? I'm going to have to, if I can't do it, I'm going to give myself the grace of having a break.
Yep.
And then, try it again. If it's still not working, how can I figure, is it something I still want to offer? Will be the first thing. And if so, who can do it for me? How can I outsource it? Like we were saying, it's a great thing. We still want to offer it. Who can do this for me? And it really is just a simple little product, but maybe it's going to give some stay-at-home mom a little bit of extra pocket money for me to say, can you do these for me? I'm just not able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we're all happy, right? And I'm done, pounding on things on my dining room table.
Exactly. But I think it goes back to that delegating piece. You said before, I know how to do it, so I should just do it. But sometimes the 5 hours of watching YouTube videos and figuring it out yourself is time and money that could have gone to pay some expert a lot more money per hour, but they would have only needed an hour to do it. And
I know. And that's the annoying thing. You know, they're going to go donkey, 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 and be done with it. And I'm like, ugh.
And they may charge you $200 for that. But if it's saving you the 5 hours of back and forth and all of that emotional energy, then it's worthwhile. And I used to think, no, if I can do it, I'll do it. But no, there's no way. If there's an expert that I can use use them as a resource because they love it and they know how to do it quicker, it's your job. It's yours.
Yeah. You know, and as a business owner, you get caught up in this, I have to save money, so I have to do it myself. And, you know, and that's the thing that we really need to look at, you know, is okay, if I spend 5 hours working on this, I could have spent those 5 hours doing my actual business. So I'm in the hole, right? Yeah. I've lost money because of this.
Absolutely.
You know, and so it then you realize, okay, it does make sense to hire somebody to do it.
When I'm coaching with my clients all the time, before we go into a task, so before we really figure out what needs to be done and how we're going to figure it out, I like to give them the job of creating a list of things that they could spend their extra money on, they could spend their extra time on, the products that they could innovate in the time that they're going to, you know, outsource this job to somebody else. Because I think it's important to think about that before you go into the like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do this and it's going to be hard and da. Because if you've got it at the front of your mind, but if I do this, I'm going to have 5 hours to be able to innovate that other new product that I've spent 6 months thinking about.
Or go to a movie or whatever.
Or go to a movie. Exactly. And I'm so glad that you said that, because as business owners, sometimes we don't think we can go to the movie.
Right.
We think we can, like, we just have to keep working and keep using that time. But sometimes the 5 hours of going to the movie and taking yourself out for a nice coffee and a piece of cake can fill you up and restore your energy and get you in a really good mindset to be able to be twice as productive the next day and not feeling burnt out the next day and tired and overwhelmed and all of those things that we tend to get once we've been, you know, pushing and pushing and pushing and hustling for a certain period of time. But that, like, as well as asking for help, I think that's also something we struggle with, really taking that time for ourselves and filling up our own cup.
Right. I tell people, I'm going to go back to kindergarten. You know, here in the States in kindergarten, you took naps every day.
Yes.
And only in kindergarten, I guess they figured first grade, you're grown up, you don't need those naps. And then we got up and we had graham crackers and little containers of milk. And that was a really long time ago. But, you know, now I'm like, no, I need my nap. You know, and even if it's just that I rest for a little bit. Then, you know, it's and the times when I have pushed forward and just kept going and going and going, then I pay for it. You know, because and it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're you know, whatever's going on in your life, there is a limit. And I think especially again as moms, you know, that is one of the issues is, you know, somebody's saying they need fed, somebody else is saying laundry needs done, somebody else is, you know, all of those things. And you have a client saying, excuse me, and you've got your prima ballerina who's not happy with you. I mean, you know, all of these things. And, you know, at some point you need to say, time out. I need 15 minutes. Give me 15 minutes. All the problems will be solved. Yeah.
And I'll be able to see things with a fresh perspective. I'll be able to see things without the cloud of, you know, you're cranky, the crankiness cloud that kind of comes over when everything gets a little bit too much. And that 15 minutes can be a walk around the block. It can be a bubble bath. It can be just sitting and resting on the couch. It can be 15 minutes of your favorite Netflix show that you're binging. Like it's different for everybody, whatever that thing is that fills you up. I love to call a friend, you know, those friends that you laugh with, like you saw them yesterday, but perhaps you haven't seen them for a long time. Like if I get an extra 5 minutes, or if I want to take a 15-minute break, calling a friend that I know I'm going to have a really enjoyable, you know, fill you up, laughter, love conversation. That's great time out for me. And I guess it's about finding what works for you and being able to use that to your advantage.
Right. Yeah. And for some people it's the walk in the, outside. It's, a workout, I am a lazy slug, so that's never going to work for me. But like my husband, I mean, he does his workout in the afternoon. And it's funny because he used to do it before he went into the office, and then COVID. And he is now supposedly permanently home officed. I keep saying, you sure we're getting a paycheck, right? But he now does his workout after he's done working for the day. And, for one thing, that gave him that extra time in the morning. Now he got extra time because his commute here in Atlanta on good days was 45 minutes each way. On bad days, it was a lot more than that. And so just to get that time back was incredible. And that, that was one of the things too, that I remember hearing a lot of people talk about after or during COVID was, what do I do with that time? Some people slept, some people, whatever. And the funniest conversation I had with somebody, she said, that was my private time. She said, that was when I wasn't mom. That was when I wasn't an employee. She said, that was my time. And so bless her, she still does that. She works from home. And so she drives like 15 minutes one way, turns around and drives back. And she's, and so she still gets that private time in there that used to be her commute, but now she's just not out in nasty traffic. And I love that, because most people would have said, oh, no, I have to fill that half hour.
Yeah. And I have to work. I'll just do extra work, or I'll do an extra load of washing or I would be guilty of that. I love that she's still jumping in the car. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
I know that she actually goes. I mean, because, most of the time you think, I'll just, I'll listen to a podcast or, something like that. But she said, no. And she discovered that if she didn't go, she didn't do it. Because the phone would ring, the email would bing, whatever, the dryer. And so she said, yeah, she goes, and I just thought that was the coolest concept.
Yeah, definitely. And no matter what you have to do in order to get that time for yourself, whether you have to jump in the car, whether you have to, go upstairs. I'm lucky that I've got an upstairs. So out my bedroom is upstairs. And so if the kids are just too much, make sure they're all safe. And
I know, I love the people that
playing with whatever they're playing.
Bleeding, you do not knock.
Right? And I'm going upstairs. And a good 7 minutes upstairs of me just going, okay.
Right.
All right. I can go back downstairs and be a completely different mum to the mum that walked up the stairs initially. And you can do the same in your business with your team if you just need some time away. And it's just about finding what works for you, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's ever changing. And I think that's the thing that some people get caught up on is, this is the way we used to do it. Well, yeah. And I mean, you probably really found that with 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids.
Yeah.
It really did. What you used to do with 1 or 2 was not going to work with 3. And all of these various things. And yeah, it's like we adapt. And again, I think that the good part about women is we do adapt. We're like, okay. But we don't do it in our business. And that I always find very curious.
Yeah. And so I think the biggest takeaway is when you have that feeling that something needs to change, being able to know that you can change and everything will be okay. And so you can step in and delegate. You can step away and take time for yourself. You can make a complete change to your position description or the role that you're going to play at home or in your office or in your community.
Right.
And know that because we are adaptable, if it doesn't work, we can go back to what it was before, or we can make another change, make another tweak. If COVID taught us anything, it's that we can pivot and we can change and things can look different from one week to the next, and that at the end, everything will be okay. And I love that coming out of COVID and back into to the new normal.
Yeah. And I love that, going back to the very start, that, you communicated that to your husband. And I think that's one of the big things is we don't communicate because they're supposed to read our minds, right? But whether it's just something as simple as, I need you to start dinner I need you to, all of those things. And then they can say, okay, I need you to do this. I mean, that really is, what would be the best way to do it, because we do that with our employees. We do that, with our staff, but we don't do that at home. And then we get really frustrated. And same with the kids. I mean, they're, yours are still pretty young, but you can be telling them, and I'm sure you do, you need to be cleaning up your rooms.
Yeah.
And just, and are they going to do it perfect? No. But they'll at least make an effort at it, and you'll know, don't open the closet door because it's all going to fall out. Right.
Yeah.
But they, again, you're empowering them to do that. And we need to just remember, how what we do actually is benefiting others.
Yes. Yeah. Even on those days that it's hard and we think, oh, is any of this worth it? Is this all like, I'm going to throw in the towel for the whole thing? You're exactly right. It is about that role modeling. It is about learning from our mistakes and getting up and dusting ourselves off and knowing that our best is good enough in our businesses and in our life.
Right.
Because I think sometimes we think that nothing we do is good enough and nothing goes right. And we go through those seasons where everything's just a little bit harder. But if you give yourself that grace, if you do ask for help, if you do reach out to others and hand off some things on your to-do list, you can have that promise that entrepreneurship and this business journey gave you of having the freedom of time, having the freedom to choose your own work hours, having the freedom to choose how you're going to make money and when you're going to make money and what that's going to look like for you and for your family. You've just got to believe in yourself and make those changes to make it happen.
Right. And as you said, know that we are enough.
Yes. Isn't that just that's it?
I love that phrase. there are times where it's like, enough what? Well, there's not a what. It's just enough. And
just as I am.
So, yeah. Well, oh my gosh, Stacey, this has been so much fun, and we have just been flying through stuff. I want to give you the chance to tell people how they can reach you and what services you provide. Now, most people are not going to become dancers, and they're not in Australia, but you are also a business coach. And so tell us more about that, and how do people reach you?
So I work with mothers, with business owners, and they don't have to be mothers and business owners, but that's primarily where my passion lies and where my information is most relevant, but with all business owners who are looking to be able to have control and have their own version of success and make that own version of success a reality. And so I do that through on my online programs. I have a mastermind program, and I also have lots of free resources for people looking to make the most of the time that they have. So if you would like to download my productivity download, which is going to give you my 10 best tips for being most productive with your time, to give you time in life for the things that really matter, you can get that at my website, which is simplystacymorgan.com. I'm on Instagram at simplystacymorgan. That's where you'll get lots of juicy content. And at the moment when this airs, it's going to be just after Christmas, and we're going to have a brand new puppy in the house.
Just so what you need, something else.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of puppy spam. So you can follow me for my business tips and my productivity tips, but also for a bit of cute puppy. And I'm saying this quietly because it hasn't.
Oh, is it a present from?
It's a surprise. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a special present. So that is where you find me on Instagram. My Thrive 6-month mastermind program is perfect for people who are looking to make big changes in their business and their life in order to give them a bit more freedom, in order to get them a bit more time back. Touching on all the things that we've talked about. That's what Thrive is all about, and doors open for that in April. But if you come on down and download my productivity hack list, you'll be on the email newsletter, so you'll know when doors open, and you'll be able to have first dibs to come and join us. And you can do it from anywhere in the world. We have clients in Canada and in America, in Germany, in New Zealand, and here in Australia too. So it's always lovely to get together with like-minded women, to share stories and share challenges, and to really feel like you're not alone. And that's what my whole coaching business is about. Listen to my podcast on Apple or Spotify, or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's called How to Run a Successful Business and Still Have a Life. And Miss Bossy Boots is there as well.
I have to check out Miss Bossy Boots. That just sounds fun.
Keeping it real for women in business.
I love it. I love it. Well, oh my gosh, Stacey, this has been so much fun. And again, your website is simply Stacey Morgan, and Stacey is Stacey.
EY.
Yep. So simplystacey.morgan.com. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has just been an absolute joy. But I think for people heading into the new year, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you want things to stay exactly the same, then just keep doing what you're doing and keep feeling that sense of overwhelm and like you're missing out and like everything's a little bit too hard. Or if you want to start the new year fresh, if you want to have a new perspective, if you want to put those New Year's resolutions into action, then just start with some small changes. Just start with little things, just some baby steps, and you'll be surprised at what a big difference that makes for you in your business and your life.
I love it. So much fun. And this really has been absolutely delightful. We have to do it again. So we'll do that. But until then, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having such fun chatting with Stacey Morgan. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.